everybody, and welcome to the Cynthia Linox Show. I am your host, Cynthia Linox. Today is a great day. Of course, every day is whatever you make it. I am welcome to again bring you another episode of Vintage Charm at 60plus.com. This is like our third episode since we launched couple of weeks ago, and I am just really excited about this because, of course, it represents the second half of our journey through this thing we call life. Um, we'll talk a little bit more about that. Anyway, you can catch us every Thursday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, either on LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. Again, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube. If you don't catch us at 2 p.m., you can always go back and see the stream, and it'll be there for your enjoyment and for your information. If you want to shoot me an email, go to my website, which is thecynthialinoxshow.com. Scroll to the bottom, and there's that box where you can drop me an email and shoot it to me with your questions or anything you would like to share. I am also a life coach. I am also a transformational life coach. I need to put this on do not disturb, otherwise I'll be getting calls and just a lot of interruptions. So let me just put this on do not disturb. This way, I already told my husband. I said, honey, I'll be online. So and I'll let you know when I'm done. But I forgot to do it. Anyway, yeah, I'm also a life coach, a transformational life coach. And what I do, I help. I don't like to say help because people are not helpless. I guide you, walk alongside with you, and encourage you, support you to set and meet the goals that you have. Whatever dreams, expectations, desires, whatever it is that you have bubbling up on the inside that you want to bring out, that you want the courage, and you just need someone to be accountable to. I am your girl. I will walk with you, and we will really do this together. I have a coach that I'm accountable to, and even myself as well. I shared earlier with some friends how I set up, even for myself, every day I have these promises I make to myself. Today, there are four promises that I want to achieve for today. And I hold myself accountable. And the reason I like that is because I don't want to let me down. I don't want to let myself down, but I don't put myself under pressure either. So in the morning, I set up these promises that I make to myself, and it could be anything. I mean, something simple. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And one of them has to be, and I'm going to speak some fabulous words about Cynthia, to Cynthia, about Cynthia. So when you hear me talk about myself, it's not, don't be concerned about that. That's just the way I talk to myself and about myself. And because it comes from a place of me knowing who I am. And that's what I encourage you to do as well. So anyway, I have four promises I make to myself. And so that I set that up in the morning, and throughout the day, I'm mindful to meet those promises. And then at night, before I retire, or just at night, later at night, when I'm done with the day, I have another box that I call Celebrate with Cheers. And what I do, every promise that I have checked off, I celebrate that promise. I celebrate the fact that I did what I said. It's like really holding myself accountable. And it's really great because it's like, I'm practicing, I'm training myself not to disappoint me. And if I don't disappoint me, I am sure not going to disappoint you. So I'm doing that to myself every day. Some people practice affirmations, and that's good, but that's not the way I do it. So I have these promises, and then I celebrate with cheers. And if I haven't started my intermittent fasting, I think I mentioned that before, that I do this like 20-hour of fasting every day, whatever. And so I sometimes will even celebrate with a glass of wine or just good old H2O water. But the point is, I get to celebrate the promises that I fulfilled later on at night. And guess what? As I said today, I made 4 promises to myself this morning. If I don't meet one of those, let's say I don't meet one of those, I have a third box that says, it's okay, Cynthia. That's okay. It's okay. I don't even say you can do it tomorrow because tomorrow it may not be something that's critical or a priority. It could be, oh, you need to call this person or whatever. I just say, that's okay. So that box is a box of grace where I tell myself, you're not going to stress out, you're not going to worry, you're not going to get all bent out of shape. It is okay, Cynthia. So I've got my promise box, I've got my celebrate with cheers, and I got a box that says, it's okay, Cynthia. It's okay. No problem. Ningún problema, chico. You see, so I just keep it simple. I keep it simple. And with that, I want to share with you, vintage charmers. I want to say vintage charmers. Vintage charm at 60 plus. I want to share with you how it's time now to elevate your thinking. It is time now to elevate your thinking. You need to start doing inventory and watching the patterns of your thoughts and identifying those thoughts that may be negative and pessimistic and thoughts that go against what you don't want. It's time to revisit your mindset, your thinking patterns, and elevate it. It's time to begin practicing awareness, to elevate yourself to a new level of consciousness. It is time. We're in the second half. Remember, the first half was experiences, understanding, knowledge. We learn all of that. The mistakes we made, I don't call them failures, and neither should you. The mistakes made and so forth, we've learned from those. But now it's time for fun. Now is the time that we are going to enjoy our lives with gusto. No fear, no hesitation, no apologies, no excuse, no explanation. We are going to enjoy to gusto. You decide, you determine what you want your life to be. And all the things that you have, all those limiting beliefs and limiting mindset and just the limitations that we set up in our minds, it's time to get rid of them. It's time for them to go. It is time for those limiting beliefs to go. They have served you no good. And in most cases they're full of fear. Just fear, just a lot of fear and apprehension and just fear. That's paralyzing. Anything that causes fear, it paralyzes you. You don't move. You can't move. Why? Because you are afraid. It's also time for us to challenge those belief systems, those thoughts. It's now time to challenge. Why do I believe what I believe? Why am I thinking the way I am thinking? What information has entered into my mind and taken up real estate residence in my mind that has me performing the way that I am? It's time to change it. Why do I think that I have to lie to this person because I don't feel confident enough to stand up and tell them the truth? Why? Why do I have to live a life of pretend? Why do I have to fake it? It's time to challenge the limiting beliefs, the mindset that is so set on things that are no longer serving you. whether it's traditional construct, social construct, cultural construct, conventional patterns, status quo, religious indoctrination. It's time to challenge every thought that produces fear. You know what they are, and you have to be honest to yourself. Just like I do my daily promises to myself, I'm not gonna lie to myself. So you have to be brutally honest with yourself, regardless of the people around you, regardless of your circle, even your family members. Sometimes, it's just hard to go through a transformation because they're watching and they see the changes in you. I remember when I went through my journey of self-discovery. Well, fortunately, my husband understands me and he is always supportive 100%. But my family members and my friends, oh, I'm telling you, but I was prepared. The journey was so satisfying, so meaningful to me and fulfilling that I was willing to walk away from everyone. I did not care. It didn't matter to me because what I was gaining in that change, in that transformation, in that wash, I used that word last week. April Chavez, she is the host of the Wellness Driven Life show, and she had me on her show as a guest. And I used that word wash. I did a wash, and that means, and she kind of liked that word and asked me to backtrack a little bit to find out exactly what I meant by that. And what I mean by a wash, and that is really uh, going through your mind and identifying uh, all those that information, that programming that's in your mind, identifying those, what works, what doesn't work, why is this here, like who told you this or who told you that, or where did this come from, or how does that serve me now, or why is this there, well, wait a minute, who is that, what that, going through, and it's like an inventory. It's like, why am I thinking this way, or why am I allowing this to cause me fear, or why am I allowing this to hold me back? And you get all those stuff and you start plucking and plucking and plucking and washing and just getting rid of all the debris. And then I realized that I had to get rid of most of the stuff that was in my mind. And in my mind, it was religious indoctrination. That was basically what it was. And got rid of it, and I returned to factory setting. I just got a brand new program and put it in there, my hardware, a new mindset. Now, I have always been positive and optimistic, but you can be positive and optimistic about the wrong thing. It's when I realized the things that were not working for me. And that's what you have to identify. The things that do not work for you, why have them take up real estate? Why store them in your mind? Why? And why live according to those patterns? Because what happens is that the beliefs you have, the thoughts you have in your mind create your beliefs. And your beliefs create a pattern of life. You create habits, and those are the experiences you attract to yourself. And for some people, it becomes an autopilot way of living, just doing the same thing. Why? Because your mind has been conditioned with certain belief systems, certain thought patterns that are set there in your mind. And, if they're set, that's all you have to work with. And what I did, I opened my mind and allowed myself to be curious about life, about stuff, about people. And with our travels, because we travel a lot, you get exposed to different cultures and nationalities and people. You see how they live, you see how they enjoy life, and you get to understand all the cultures, and you embrace everyone. You embrace everyone. You don't discriminate because of what they believe or how they live. None of that. You embrace everyone with love, kindness, and compassion. Those are the only three principles we live by. After I did that wash, I replaced it. one program, love. And I'm not talking about that love you. No, 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 no. I'm talking about a deep understanding of knowing and really looking at people the way you look at yourself. And of course, it starts with self love and then kindness. That becomes your motivator. You want to show, you want to extend kindness, you want to smile, you want to do good to others. But that comes from within. That really, it's innate. You just want to just do good to everyone. And then the third one is compassion. When situations arises, you just have to look at it totally different. And those things we are mindful of. We are conscious of those three principles that we live by. You're conscious of it. We don't have a lot of stuff, rules and laws and regulations and scary stuff to, I'm afraid to do this, afraid to do that, afraid to think this way, afraid to explore this way. The other day I was listening to this person on social media, and they were talking about something called chakra. And I had heard about the chakra before and the third eye and things of that nature, but I never really paid attention because it was not the right time. It wasn't something that I was interested in, but I've heard it and seen it all around and so forth. But it caught my attention uh, last week sometime. And I thought, wow, and I paused and I listened and I thought, boy, that is really interesting. And I really allowed myself the freedom to open my mind and to listen to that person explain what chakra means and the third eye. And they had some other stuff that they shared and so forth, and I was just really blown away by that. And I thought, gosh, Cynthia, how much do you not know? And I welcome all of it, whether it's, I don't care what it is, whether it's I'm not afraid of mysticism. I'm not afraid of philosophies, ideologies. I'm not afraid of any of that. Why? Because the universe is expansive. The universe is so large, and we are just a minuscule, just a tad. And to think that we allow ourselves to be limited when the universe, God, source, creator, force, is so huge and so full of knowledge that it affords us to learn things that we can enjoy, to live better. Before, do you think I would allow myself? I would hear chocolate and I would be like, no, no, no. I would just be so centered on one source of information, and that's it. So my mind was also, it was just, my mind was not as open as it is. It was not open at all. I was like very dogmatic. This is what I believe and this is where I stay, and that's it. Now, none of that. I challenge all the stuff that I learned and came to my own conclusion. And the point is, it works now. It works for me now. It's working. The peace and the joy that has embodied, that I have embodied, is really indescribable. But more than that, it's the freedom that it brings. I am telling you, that is real freedom. It's the freedom of being. I can be my true, authentic self. I don't have to pretend. I am not afraid of things, of stuff, of people, or what they say, none of that. I am not afraid, because when we come into a place where we can just be ourselves, just be your true, magnificent, creative self. When you come into that place, when you come into that place, no one can challenge it. And that's a place where fear does not reside. Why? Because when you know who you are, you're not afraid. I'm not afraid of anything. There's no need to. There's no need to be afraid to open your mind and let knowledge and information come in, it just really enhances your life. And I'm telling you, at this point, my vintage charm at 60 plus, this is our second half. This is the second half of the journey. There is no third. It's not divided into threes. The first half, the second half. This is your moment. This is your time. This is your life. And you cannot depend on anyone, not even your partner, spouse, whomever, significant other. You cannot even depend on that person to meet that need, because they are an entity to themselves. They are unique. They have their own uh, evolution to experience. So that is something that you have to embrace for yourself, and just start looking and practicing self-awareness. Who are you? And now that you're in this season, what are you going to make of life? How are you going to enjoy the best season of your life? A couple of weeks ago, it could be last week, I talked about the use of the word retirement. I never say retire. No, no, who wants to retire? You want to refire. So even if you are still working in corporate America, even if you're still contributing to the workforce, you can refire anytime. If you still need to be at work, that's okay, but you can refire your life and say, I'm going to start this new hobby. I'm going to start on my vacation. I'm going to start traveling. I'm going to start doing this. I'm going to start doing that, and start with whatever it is that brings you pleasure. You don't have to spend time trying to find out what is my purpose. What is my purpose? Your purpose is the desire that's in your heart now. My purpose, I always say, it's simple. My purpose is to have pleasure in life. This that I'm doing here right now gives me pleasure, gives me buco of pleasure. Why? Because it's really what I want to do. I learned stuff, and it really just thrills me to be able to come and share it. And for those people that contact me that want to uh, engage my service as a life coach, I'm telling you, I am one of those life coaches that you have to be accountable to me, and I have to see it working. Whatever it is that you set a goal to do in your life, whatever it is that you decide you want to achieve, it has to work. And if you don't do the homeworks that I give you, then I may not be your girl. It has to work. If you're looking for the freedom and the joy of being and just getting a new mindset, I'm the person. There are a lot of great coaches out there, and if you contact me, there's that 30-minute of complimentary consultation. Again, you can shoot me an email, go to my website, thecynthialinoxshow.com, send me an email, and there is a 30-minute complimentary consultation to see if our energies align, to see if we're a good match. Because if we're not, then it's not going to work. You have to be comfortable with me, and I have to be comfortable with you, knowing that you're responsible, because this is really something you want to do. Somebody wrote to me over the weekend, and they had situations, they're in this season, and they really want to unpack what it's about and start living a joyful, fulfilled, happy life, free to be themselves. And I wrote back and I said, great, we can have this 30-minute consultation, and this is my fee. And before we do whatever, so I share that. And that person wrote back and said, right now that's outside of my budget, blah, blah. And that was fine. I said, well, I suggest that, there are a lot of other options, and that, and you can, come across someone that's cheaper. Cheaper is not a word that I would use, but I needed to drive that across, because, and then it's funny because they wrote back and they said, I'm not looking for cheap. I'm looking for the best. Well, I just ended the conversation there, because my point for saying that is this. I have invested a lot of resources into myself. When it comes to me, when I identify something that's going to help me level up, that I see, wow, guess what? I'm worth it. I will find the resources, I will create the resources to meet that need. Absolutely. I'm going to bet on me. I'm going to bet on me, just like I do all those promises in the morning, and I don't want to disappoint myself. I'm going to bet on me. There is nothing that I'm going to consider too expensive. I may, have to wait if we're talking thousands and thousands of dollars, but if I realize or I acknowledge, identify, recognize something that's going to help me, look, if I really want it, if I am ready and I really want it, it's going to happen. I'm going to make it happen. And I'm saying that to you. Bet on yourself. Don't think that it's too expensive. No, make a decision. And once you make a decision, the funds, the resources are going to show up. The resources will show up. I'm telling you, because you're worth it. But you have to know that. You have to understand that you're worth it. You have to know that. Nobody's gonna force it on you or tell you no. No. You have to. You know. When I have opportunities, I think I shared. Coaching. I've been coaching for like 7 years, and before I left corporate America, I got my certification as a life coach, and that was an investment. I was still in corporate America, but I knew my time was about to, wind down. And I thought, you know what, I wanted something else because I knew the energy within me was really this thing here. I'm sorry. Um, Here, get in the way. I knew that my time was coming to a pause and end. I didn't have the energy that I had, the enthusiasm of going to work. So I decided that I was going to get certified as a life coach. So I made an investment, did that for 7 years, and I'm still doing a life coach. But then later, I realized that this talk show thing was something I wanted to do. And guess what? That was another investment. And it happened so fast. If I had waited to think like, maybe perhaps, I should have, would have, I would never have done it. Not only because, yes, it was expensive to go through the training, but challenging because this is like a virtual studio. I've never done that. And, but I knew that I could if I just, learned it. And I did. And here I am. I could have waited to start this show. I could have waited, but I didn't. Why? Because why wait? I want to do a whole bunch of fancy stuff, but I have to wait. I have to wait to get the right people in my circle that can, the experts that can do all of that. But in the meantime, I see you. Do I? No, I don't. Virtually in my mind, I create these images. I visualize a large, huge audience, but you can see me. So we can be together right here, me sharing with pleasure. So you see, it's, it's, there's no need to wait. Invest in yourself. Change your mindset. You deserve it. The universe is loaded with resources, and you're just a tad this small. There's enough. There's enough for Jeff Bezos, and there's enough for you. You just have to know it. Leave Jeff Bezos alone. Leave Oprah and The Rock alone. Let them. And the reason I say Oprah and The Rock is because a couple of days ago, I believe they were on social media and they had donated like $10 million to the Maui effort. to rebuild Maui, and they were inviting and encouraging other people to donate to them because they said the money would go directly to the people that are in need. And to me, I thought that was pretty interesting because I would prefer to do that than to donate to an organization. In most cases, we know these organizations sometimes, 85% of the donations uh, go toward uh, salaries and overhead and all of that, and then the people in need only get 15% of that. And I'm just very leery about donating my monies to these charitable organizations that I don't know. So I thought this whole effort with Oprah and Rock was a good idea. Well, not everyone thought that way because the comments after they did that whole invitation, the comments were so brutal. They said, "Oh, Oprah, she could buy Maui and rebuild Maui, and she would still be a billionaire." And The Rock, and they should be embarrassed for doing that. And I thought, "Oh my gosh, that's just so unfair." I mean, why would you think just because somebody's a billionaire that they should do that? You don't understand the way wealth works, and you'll never be wealthy. Those people that had those comments. Oh, here people are living from paycheck to paycheck, trying to make ends meet. With that mindset, you'll never be a millionaire. You'll never be out of that place. And that's what I try to tell people. Don't that thinking. In the meantime, guess what? They are sitting on talents, abilities, expertise, things that they know to do. I mean, just a plethora of possibilities that they could turn into monetary gain. They could monetize their talent, but they're not thinking in those terms. They're thinking in terms of, oh, how can they even suggest that when they are so wealthy and could buy or rebuild all of Maui? No, you can't think that way. Why should somebody? Why? No, you have it within you. And I'm talking now to my audience, not those in the comments. We have it within us. Everything that we want, everything that we want, everything that we desire, everything that we aspire, whatever dreams we have, whatever. I don't know what's wrong with this hair. Anyway, do it this way. Anyway, whatever it is that we desire, we can achieve it. We can. Absolutely. So don't sell yourself short. Don't think that you can, but they have all the resources and you don't know. And now in this time that you may have been through with college, college funds and all that. You may be through with, raising kids, and you may be through with perhaps the house is already paid off, whatever it is. And even if it's not, get yourself a great financial advisor and you can do it. You can do it. You have to think that you can do it. Again, no more fear and hesitation and apprehension. Get rid of, as Zig Ziglar would say, the stinking thinking. We have to get rid of that and elevate our mind, elevate our thoughts, get rid of those old patterns of belief system that limits us to just confining to one way of living. There's no such thing as only one way. There's no such thing. There are different avenues, and that's why you have to be creative. That's why I consider myself a magnificent creative being. Absolutely. And I allow myself to think, not even outside of the box. I got rid of the box. I became radical, so radical that even some family members, they would have no dialogue to do with me, but that is so fine because I am now aligned with the people that desire to be in my life, and we just have a great time. It'll cost you. Absolutely. It all depends on how radical you want to be. But I wanted to be radical to the point where I really didn't care. Didn't care the opinions of others. As Brene Brown says, the critics don't matter. Absolutely. So you can't be, that's another thing also that keep people so bound up. They're so concerned about what people would think. You know, we belong to a nice community of people where I was at church, and so we left. And it, now, I mean, you know, because we left in you know, well, good graces, we just left, you know, inform our pastors that we were going to leave, and we did. And and to this day, we just have no need at all. Our lives, the way we live it, the way we live it, the peace in our heart, our relationships with people, because that's where it all boils down to, your relationship with people, because people are important. And we may not be for you, but over here, they need to know that we are all inclusive and we are diversified in our approach to this called humanity. And we allow ourselves to live out the fullness of our humanity. That means mentally, physically, psychologically, emotionally, sexually. We are fully aware of who we are. Oh, and the benefit of that. It's a sweet place to be. I invite you, my friend. I invite you now to elevate your thinking. Elevate your thinking. Elevate your thinking to another level of consciousness. Practice awareness. Be aware of who you are, and challenge those negative and limiting beliefs that are in your mind. And you'll see. Again, if you want to chat with me and even go deeper in your journey of self discovery, acknowledging the good things that are in you, then drop me a note. Check out my website, thecynthialinoxshow.com, and send me an email, and we will chat. There's a 30-minute complimentary consultation to see if we are the right match, and we can take it from there. I'm going to bring this stream to a close. It's been my pleasure. It's been a delight. It's been, you know, I've gained something from listening to my own voice, and I know that you would have as well. So we have another date next Thursday, or no, we have a date next Thursday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, either on YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook. And we're going to talk more about that. We're going to, you know, there's a lot of things I want to do with this vintage charm at 60 plus. And so I'm just working on that. In the meantime, just know that you are at that place where you're making changes to your lives so that you can enjoy this half of your life with gusto, enjoy it, and live unapologetically with no regrets. In the meantime, I'm going to say au revoir, ta-ta, bye, and we will see each other at the same time, same place, to talk more about vintage charm at 60plus.com.